Good morning, everyone. I want to call this meeting to order. I'm Bernice Bass de Martinez. I happen to be the Vice President of the board. Our President, Tammy Ndoso, sends her apologies. Her work situation has created a circumstance in which she absolutely cannot be absent. There's such a shortage of backup, and as a true professional, she is attending to that. So she sends her regrets to everyone, and I tried to give it verbatim as she shared it with me. This is the board for vocational nursing and psychiatric technicians. This meeting is being held on Wednesday, July 19th, 2017, at the Department of Commerce, Consumer Affairs at 1747 North Market Boulevard, room 186 in Sacramento, California. In calling this meeting to order again, I am Bernice Bass de Martinez, Vice President of the board. And will the board members please introduce themselves? And I'd like to start from my left.
Hi, that is my name, isn't it? Thank you. I apologize for being late.
Please, Donna.
Donna Norton, LVN member.
Paul Sellers, I'm a psychiatric technician member.
Ken Maxey, public member.
We're going to give our arriving board member a few minutes to get situated. We'll continue to my right.
Good morning, John Deerking, public member.
Good morning, Cheryl Turner, public member.
And we welcome one of our newest board members. If you will give your name as a means of introducing yourself.
Alicia Carpenter.
Thank you. And by the way, welcome to the board.
Thank
We're
you.
glad to have you.
Thank you.
And as one of your first acts as a board member, you're in attendance today. Looking at the agenda, I'd like to have, before we start, the interim executive officer introduce herself and the staff that's present.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl Anderson, and as Vice President Bass de Martinez said, I am the interim executive officer. With me today, Jay Prouty, who is the new manager of the discipline unit, Jen Johnson, who is the manager of the evaluations unit, and Vanessa Guerra is the education analyst.
Thank you very much. And I want to turn to our DCA legal consultant, Counsel, and if she will please introduce herself as well as anyone else present in legal.
Good morning, Rebecca Bond, DCA Legal Counsel. And of course, this is your new counsel from our office, Ken Swenson, and he comes to DCA Legal with a variety of experience in private practice and the AG's office, and he can elaborate as well.
Good morning, everyone. Ken Swenson, Attorney 3, Senior Staff Counsel. I'm looking forward to working with everyone on the board.
And we welcome you, Ken. We look forward to having you guide us and work with us as we go along in this journey. Thank you. And a big thank you to Rebecca, who will be leaving us. We appreciate your service, and thank you for the guidance that you provided to this board. We definitely are appreciative. Moving along with the agenda, we want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask our colleague, who's retired military, Donna Norton, if she will please lead us. Stand.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Donna. As with all required meetings, we want to start with public comment on items that are not on the agenda. It is understood that the board cannot discuss or take any action on any item raised during public comment, except whether to place that matter on the agenda for a future meeting. If there's any public comment, would whoever wishes to speak come forward? There is a mic at the table. If you will kindly introduce yourself and if you would, the organization you represent. Seeing no one, we will move on. The next agenda item is a discussion and possible action regarding the discontinuation of pocket licenses for licensed vocational nurses and psychiatric technicians. And as a start, I'd like to have the staff provide some background for our deliberation. Jen Jepson, if you please.
Sure. Good morning, board members. So I would like to just give a little background and an update on the issue regarding discontinuation of pocket cards. This was raised in November 4th, 2016 board meeting by our prior executive officer, Dr. Brown. And I just wanted to give a little update and get the board's input. The background is they were moving forward with discontinuing the pocket cards. We had a shared contract with SoftFile with the Board of Registered Nursing. This shared contract is costing about $250,000 annually. The contract ends September 15, 2017, this year. And I reached out to SoftFile to see what the cost would be to continue with the contract alone without BRN, because they are not, like I stated, moving forward with the contract. To have this continue, it would cost the board about $7,000 a month and $84,000 per annum. I also reached out, that's the new quote that I put in the report. I also reached out to Office of State Publishing and requested a quote to see if they could maybe do some printing and save the money, save the board some money. And I found out yesterday that they do not print the plastic cards that we are utilizing, nor can they provide hologram for the security of the pocket card. So I attached in my report just some numbers, what the board was paying for fiscal year 2015 to 2016, and also 2016 to 2017. And if you look at that, for 2015-2016 fiscal year, the board paid out almost $56,000. That was our part. And for this fiscal year, actually 2016 to 2017 fiscal year, without the June invoice that we do not have as of yet, the board paid out almost $57,000. So as you see, it will cost us about $84,000 a year for the new contract to start effective. Actually, they said effective now. They would go back because they have to order cards on, for PT and VNs. So I think we just wanted to give a little background. I also attached the report from Dr. Brown from November 4th, 2016, with her background paper on it. And one of the options that we can do that's alternative for not continuing the contract would be print out these wall certificates that I attached, and that would come through Breeze. So that is an option. It would be a one-time wall certificate to give to the licensee, but there are concerns that they can't carry this in person as they practice. So I wanted to raise that issue.
Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson. Any questions from the board regarding this update report?
Yeah, I have a question. It mentioned one of the alternatives was to issue a one-time card that didn't have an expiration date, but just gave the license number. Do you have a cost for that per annum, what it would cost to issue one time per new licensee?
I do not. Go ahead, Ms. Cheryl.
That would be if we continue the contract with a year with Softfile, right?
Yes, it is
So
a
that
one-time.
would
I'm
be
sorry.
It would be 84 regardless of whether we're issuing renewals or whether it's just a one-time. Okay,
It is the one-time.
thank you.
And, excuse me, just for clarification, as I read through the report, just to make sure I'm understanding, that 7,000 a month, approximately 84,000 annually, regardless of whether we did renewal cards or one-time issuance cards,
Correct.
as well as we could change the language we choose to use on the cards. So they would set up a new plate for printing.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'll try one last question. Is there any option to allow licensees to pay for their own card? Choose, get the printed wall certificate, but if they chose to have a pocket card, that they could have that option and pay for it themselves?
That was not discussed in revising the contract with Softfile. I can look into that, definitely.
But we can take that under consideration. We would need to look at the legal aspects and how we would determine authenticity and use of such card. So we'll have staff, if you would please, to add that for consideration. There is an additional question.
Yes. What about issuing the paper certificates for those that feel that in their practice they need a card, they can request a card? And then by so requesting, they would have to provide an updated address, obviously, so you wouldn't have a problem with licenses being returned. Because I can potentially foresee that, for example, if an in-home care nurse, I'm not using it right? Okay, thank you. If someone approaches a patient's family at home, they may want to see something.
Absolutely.
And they may not have access to internet, they may be poor, it may be turned off at the time, and they need to respond immediately. So that's a
Option.
consideration, and I know
Absolutely.
that with the state bar, which is a different organization, that's what they're doing. For those that require, feel that they need it, they're giving them the option to request it.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
We will add that.
And did you check with other vendors too for other quotes, or is that the only vendor?
Yeah, because they're contracted with the state.
Okay.
Ms. Norton?
So a couple of things. I've been practicing in the state of California for 30 years now, and at least 30 years. And the only time I've ever had to show my I've actually never had to show my license. The only thing, my employer had to verify my license. And then when I did home health and I went into patients' homes, I never showed my license. I had to show my badge that I was actually employed by the home cares. So that's really what they're looking for. I had the paper one. I thought it fit in my wallet a lot easier than this plastic one, although I've never had to show it. I don't even carry it anymore. It sits on my desk. It was nice to have. But in light of the cost that it would cost this board to continue this and everything else that's coming down as far as budgets and where we spend our money wisely. I am aware of the fact that they're nice to have. I think the wall placard that you can put on the wall, they could, would be a nice option for that. I do understand the concerns of if we allowed people to purchase their own, then we wouldn't be able to verify their validity of it. So I just wanted to bring that up, that in the 30 years, I've never actually, except to my employer, who now has the ability to check it online. And they do check you even if you show it, because the card doesn't tell the employer whether or not you have any discipline. So all the employers are checking online anyway. So.
Other comments?
Have any other professionals had the experience where they had to produce a card or didn't produce a card? Does anyone else have any feedback? Because maybe Donna looks like a nurse and she doesn't have a problem, but.
Yeah, I would agree. Now that I think about it, I can't remember where I've ever had to produce the card. It's been convenient to have at times, but not necessary.
I can speak to the licensure of school personnel, classroom teachers, principals, etc. CTC is another entity under DCA. It is rare, if ever, that the physical license, which is paper, is asked for by a school district, but it is certainly checked and validated, because schools are held liable if their employees are not licensed. Any other comment? Yes, Donna?
How long do we have before we make the decision, actually? So we could bring this up at our next board meeting as well in August, because the contract is September, is that correct?
Correct. However, it takes some time to move forward with whatever decision that the board makes, such as renewing this contract. They have to order cards, they have, soft file. And also, if we go with the wall certificate, we have to put in a SIR through OIS, and that's going to take time. That would need to be done by August 11th to make it happen for September.
So you're needing a decision today, essentially.
Executive Officer Anderson?
We are here to do whatever the board desires. So if you would like for us to see if we can find another vendor, we will certainly do that research for you. However, as Ms. Johnson has said, the current contract expires September 15th. To ensure there is no delay in providing licensure and those cards, we would need to have a decision so we could begin to move forward. We will preliminarily, if you desire, begin the process to renew the contract, and then continue to research additional printers if you would like.
I would actually make a motion that we move to discontinue the use of the pocket cards.
I second that motion.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Further comments about the motion? All right, before vote, public comment regarding the pocket card. If there is, would you please approach and come to the mic? And please identify yourself. Welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Brian Qasim. I'm a licensed vocational nurse, and I've been licensed since 1995. I've never shown my license to a patient, but I've always shown it to an employer, and I am a licensed vocational nurse, and I take pride in that license. It's subjective. It's what I feel, and I think it's important to me. Does the board represent all human beings who are licensed people, and is a license important to the people to hold when they've gone to school and gained experience, and they got it in their pocket? What would you do with the money that you would save from eliminating the license? And would it be used efficiently? If it were, I would say we could eliminate it because we are on a registry. But if it's going to be wasted, I'd rather keep my license.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing me.
Other public comment? Restatement of the motion before us was in essence to discontinue the current means of licensing with a pocket card. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. We want to call for a vote on that. It does involve funds, so it'll be a vote by person, starting with my far left.
Yes.
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 Didn't hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes. Motion carries. We will instruct staff to please look at alternatives and one-time offerings of any type. And we'd like to have some final statement on what was determined for our next board meeting. And the public really does need to know.
Okay.
Thank you. The next agenda item is for suggested items for future meetings. Any items for future meetings, of which I just added one.
I think had last time, I think it's still scheduled, but the telephone issue, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Others? Yes, Ms. Norton.
I thought I think we have an ongoing list of future agenda items, and I cannot recall what they actually are, but I know there's a number of things that we have asked.
That is correct.
Maybe we could take a couple off of that list. I can't think of another one to add at this point.
Then, with your permission, I'd like to request that staff send us that list so we can take a look at it. From time to time, we find items are no longer necessary. And then it will help us identify some that we have omitted. Thank you. Other items for future meetings? Hearing none. We are now ready to move into closed session. And if, as the board prepares to convene in closed session, that means all others in the room will be excused until we return to open session.